Starr News is coming to you live on Ultimate 106.9 FM in Kumasi, Empire 102.7 FM in Takrady, Cool 103.5 FM in Ho, Rage and Might FM in Tamale, Somali FM in Wa, My Star Radio in the USA.
For him to be remanded into prison's custody, which the court acknowledged and remanded him same. So for some time now, he's been with the prisons, and then the 15-year-old boy has been with the police. Okay. So that's how it's been working. Prosecution called 7 witnesses. The court find as a fact that a prima facie evidence has been established, for which reason the accused person ought to open their defense. Now, very interestingly, the first accused person, that's the 15-year-old boy, admitted that they conspired to commit an offense, but pleaded not guilty for murder. Initially, he pleaded guilty, but the law is saying that allow the jury to try him. So the court entered not guilty verdict for him. The second accused person, that Nicholas Kinney, 18.
I just want some clarity. So they were accused on 2 counts.
2 counts.
Conspiracy and
to commit murder and the substantive offense, which is murder.
And he pleaded not guilty to murder. Did he plead guilty to conspiracy?
The point is that he pleaded guilty to both.
Okay.
But the law says that when accused person charged with murder plead guilty, the court can enter a not guilty plea for the jury to determine his fate. So that's how it worked for the 15-year-old. And ever since, his story has been consistent. We did it. If the second accused says that we didn't do it, I leave him to his conscience. We did it. And he has confessed from day one that they did it. So when given the opportunity to even open his defense, it didn't last for 30 minutes. He said, we did it. I am apologizing to the family and all that. He said that.
But I mean, how does he confess and plead not guilty? How does that work?
So, like I said, he pleaded guilty, but the law is saying that an accused person who is facing the charge of murder, the punishment is very dire, it's very severe. So allow the jury to determine his fate in situations like that. So that's how can the court enter not guilty for him. But the 18-year-old Nicholas Kinney has also maintained that they did not do it, and in fact deny knowing or friendship with the 15-year-old. Said, no, he is not my friend. We didn't do it. I didn't do anything. If he said we did it, I don't know who he did it with. It is not me. So in the course of his testimony, he came, opened his mouth, testified on the 14th of February this year. And it's a Valentine's Day, right? Yes, that was the day that he closed his defense and said that he would have wished. He would have wished to call a witness, and the witness that he wanted to call is a grandfather who was available at the time when the incident happened. His grandfather. Right. Unfortunately, the grandfather has passed on, so he has no witness to call, and that ended the trial on the 14th of February 2024. And the prosecution, the parties were asked to file their processes by way of written submissions and then come to court. And you notice that for some time now, we've been telling you that the case has been adjourned just for verdict to be delivered. It's been adjourned, and today's being the 6th time that the case was called. That fortunately for the family and the court, we had a jury available. And what transpired today, defense witness and then the prosecution took time to address the jury by way of their final addresses. The prosecution's case was that they have been able to, through the witnesses that they have called, been able to prove beyond reasonable doubt the guilt of the 2 accused persons. Beyond reasonable doubt means they have satisfied all the requirements, all the elements that is there to show that the 2 of them agreed. They agreed. What did they do? They agreed to kill Ishmael, and they killed Ishmael unlawfully because the law did not allow them. So they have proved all the elements. The first accused person, when he had the opportunity, he said, look,
the
15-year-old boy, when he had the opportunity, first of all, wished the family or expressed his condolences to the family, the deceased family, and said that, look, I have confessed from day one. I don't want to waste anybody's time. But what I'm urging the jury is that I have confessed, but I'm in your hands. When you go and to deliberate on your decision, return a not guilty verdict for me.
Really? Really?
Yes. So that was what the lawyer, through his lawyer, Samuel Efia, indicated to the court. Then the second accused person had the opportunity to also speak to the jury. In fact, his address was also very short through his lawyer, Lawrence Boampong. It's from a legal aid. In fact, they were doing this case on pro bono basis. He said that, look, the elements that prosecution ought to prove the guilt of the accused, but they have not been able to prove it. And so the element to say that prove beyond reasonable doubt, he thinks that prosecution failed to achieve that target. For that matter, a not guilty verdict should be entered in his favor. Then Justice Lydia Osema, after concluding with the parties' addresses, Justice Lydia Osema, who is presiding over the case, or who is directing, steering affairs of this trial, also had time to sum up the whole trial when the case came up to court, witnesses that they call, material evidence that were tendered in the evidence, to virtually sum up the whole thing, pointed out the elements that had to be proven, drew certain comparisons, certain differences, witnesses who came to court. In this case, Vanessa, the mother of the 15-year-old boy was in court to testify against her son. The father was in court to testify against his son. A sister, his own sister, was also in court to testify in relation to this matter. Then we have police officers. So you sit down and you ask yourself, this is a very serious matter. Because at that particular point in time, there's nothing that the parents could do but to come and say that, yes,
Indeed.
my son committed this offense. And you could see family, the relationship, the eyeball, throughout the court sitting today. The boys have had their head down. They were not looking up. They were not looking at anybody. Absolutely. They could not look at anybody's face.
But what was the demeanor of the relatives? Of the accused?
It was an emotional moment. The mother has had the both hands carrying the head in her palm, just like that, throughout the sitting. At the point in time, you notice the emotion, not only the accused person, but also the deceased or the victim family. And everything was telling. The courtroom was very heavy in terms of how tense the atmosphere was. Emotions were all over when they were giving narrations of what happened. And that gives you a lot of pain if you are in there and you are related or you are connected. Even those of us who are not directly connected, you could see listening to the story, you could see how these young boys will have to take the law into your home, and because of money, we're becoming rich very fast. So you do certain things and all that.
And distracting their lives in the process.
The case was called at 10:17, according to my watch. And then the jury retired at 2:46. So you can imagine a very long day, And when they retire, guess what? They retired 2:46 and they returned at 2:51.
So about 5 minutes.
5 minutes. So it tells you that they didn't have, they feel that the evidence led was so overwhelming that absolutely there's nothing to consider other than determine that the accused persons are guilty. And once they return their verdict, it is bound on the court. The court will have to just accept it. And people were asking, one is 18-year-old and the other is 15-year-old. And let's put it into context. 15 years when the incident happened in April 3rd, 2021. So we are in 2024. We are in 2024. The 15-year-old is 18 now.
He's 18 now.
Yes. And
so,
the 18 and the 18-year-old boy is 21 now. Absolutely.
So would the 15-year-old be tried as an adult or?
So he was not tried as an adult. He was tried because
convicted.
He was not. So Justice Lydia Osema made it clear that, look, because of the incidents that took place and the ages of the accused person when the incident happened, the 18-year-old boy is an adult at the time that the incident happened. So he is going to face the full rigors of the law. But the juvenile is a minor, is a juvenile offender. And so he had to be remitted to the juvenile court for sentencing.
So the consideration here is looking at the ages at
the time the offense happened. So at the time the offense happened, one was 15 years, and that the High Court do not have the jurisdiction to punish him. The only reason they were tried together is because he did it together with an adult, and that adult must face trial
Okay.
at the High Court.
Okay.
And so the jurors or the jury returned with a unanimous verdict. And the verdict is that conspiracy for both of them, unanimous, guilty. Murder for both of them, unanimous, guilty. The court just thanked them and then handed the punishment to the 18-year-old who is now 21. The court said he has been sentenced to prison or life in prison while remitting the 15-year-old juvenile to the juvenile court for sentencing. But we have been speaking to the parties. And when I say the parties, about the lawyers, all of them, and then the family of the deceased. First of all, let's hear from Mr. Harrison Mensah, who happens to be a relative of the deceased after the incident. The judge
is satisfied, even though we've lost our son. This should serve as a deterrent to any other person who wants to take the law into his or her hands. You know that it's been a very difficult moment sitting through the entire proceedings and all that. As a family, sitting through the court, what was going through the mind of the family? Well, it wasn't easy. We were only waiting for judgments to be given so that we go back to our various homes to go and continue wherever we have left off. Mind you, because of this issue, my brother has lost his job that he's doing, his private business, and he's in debt over 180,000 Ghana cedis, which we don't know where to go and find those monies to pay off those debts. Just because of this case? Yes. So once judgment has come, go back and then strategize and go and see how we can pay off those debts.
Does today's decision bring any form of closure to the family at all?
Come again.
Does this decision bring any closure to the family in terms of what you've lost to your son? Does it bring any closure?
Well, it doesn't bring any closure, but at least wherever.
We just heard there from the parties. Counsel, who else did you engage on the back of this development?
So the voice we just heard is Harrison Mensah, a relative of the deceased. Lawyer for the 15-year-old convict, Mr. Samuel Efia, expresses satisfaction about the decision today.
Okay.
See, the decision of return of non-guilty verdicts relies on the jury. So it is something that I said to the jury, but not actually convince them, because that's not the decision of it. Oh, it has been it is good, because the evidence is obvious that my client, for instance, admitted to the offense. And once you've admitted to offense, there's no way that the jury returned no guilty verdicts.
Offense. And once you've admitted your offense, there's no way that the jury returned no guilty verdicts.
Okay, you have been counseling this whole matter right from day one. You looked at the situation. Initially, we were representing the two accused person, now convict. And you look at the situation, realize that their stories are different. What advice did you give to him from day one?
Who?
Your client. When he spoke to you, what did he tell you?
But he confessed the offense to me. And once he confessed the offense to me, as a lawyer, you also have to be an officer of the court. You have to be very candid with the court. So once he has confessed offense to me, I asked him that he should tell the truth.
Is it because you know that he has a maximum of 3 years to serve?
Not really, not because of that. He confessed the offense because he realized that in his evidence at the police station, at the indictment, and even before the trial, he said it. So it's not because that he has a maximum sentence of 3 years. Once he has told me the truth, as a lawyer, it's my duty also to help the client and the court that the truth ought to be told, because we are looking for truth and justice.
We just heard the lawyer Samuel Efia there. That his position was quite interesting.
Very interesting. So
asking for a not guilty verdict
so
after his clients had pleaded, had confessed to committing the crime.
So in the course of addressing the jury, he said that, look, from day one, we have confessed the offense and we do not want to waste your time. But when you go in there, and you are deliberating on your decision, return a not guilty verdict in our favor.
On
Then
what
people were
basis?
like, on what basis? So what are you trying to say? You said that your client admitted your offense, and you say we should return. But that one played out just for the fact that I am telling you, this is what my client wants you to do for us. And he heard me asking him whether, because he knew that his clients will only serve a maximum of 3 years. That's how come they willfully agreed that they committed the offense. He said, look, he told us the truth. And that's how come we also represented that in court. But what happened to the second accused person, Nicholas Kinney, the one who has been convicted and sentenced to life in Sawam? His lawyers maintain that from day one, he had denied the offense all along, and that was a representation that he also made to the court. Let's listen to lawyer Lawrence Bwampong.
Okay.
It makes me feel very bad. The circumstances of this case, we can't say much. You were in court throughout the trial, and you heard the evidence on record. There was little we could do. Just like counsel for first accused said, it is a duty of our client to tell us the truth, give us the fact that throughout the trial we asked him whether he committed the offense. He denied to us, and there was nothing we could tell the court apart from what he has told us. So it's a very difficult case for us to do. Though my senior Martin Pebu was called upon by the court to extend his pro bono services to the second accused. And you heard my lady throughout the trial. We have done our best representing the second accused. That is the decision of the jury, and we respect it.
Are you going to appeal?
We do not have the instructions of our client yet, and today was the verdict and the judgment. We need to apply for the judgment, study it. Then thereafter, if we have the instructions of our client, and if there is merit in appealing, we'll look at it. But for now, I can't say much about it.
Now, Counsel, we've heard from the relevant parties in all of this development, but what has the court been saying in all of this?
Vanessa, Justice Lydia Osemafo, now a justice of the Court of Appeal who presided over this case as an additional high court judge, have been having some advice. And then she said, look, and I'm going to read what exactly she said. She said, well, parents of present generation are asleep while their children, who should be made to be sleeping by them, are widely awake. The consequences is silent pandemic. Very interesting. Eroding our society and condemning our future generation to a life of a trauma. Justice Lydia Selma have also made reference to Hillary Clinton's quote that when parents neglect their children, society pays the price. So these are some of the things that Justice Lydia Osemafo has been saying in relation to what has happened. He said, look, young boys, because you are thinking of how to get rich very fast, look at what you have brought upon. So it is an advice for the generation, especially parents, to ensure that they really take care of their children. You don't go to sleep before your ward or your child
We are
will
wrapping
come
up, but
to
briefly,
sleep.
we know that the 15-year-old boy who is now 18 cannot be tried. The High Court didn't have the jurisdiction to give him that convict. So what happens to him?
So what it is now is that a date will be fixed, which we will monitor closely when
A date hasn't been fixed yet.
Not yet. What the court said is that he should be kept in police custody until such time that he's appeared before the juvenile court and is sentenced, and then the rest will follow from there. So as we speak, we are not clear when he's appearing at the juvenile court. But what is clear is that the court said he should be remanded and appear at the police custody and appear at the court after the sentencing is done. So that case has now come to an end, and for the family, punishing somebody means that justice has been served on them.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. We've been engaging Mutala in Nusa on the back of this development, but this is still Starr today. We are back with more stories after the break.
Honestly, the cost of dialysis is an impossible burden to carry. Ever since this kidney failure diagnosis, we spend over 1,200 cedis every week. I keep asking if there's no intervention for persons suffering from chronic illnesses in society. Considering all these economic hardships, isn't the government thinking of us? Aren't they? Is the NPP government saying they can't do anything about this? Grandpa, I can't lose you, Grandpa.
A nation that doesn't care for its sake is herself sick. Ama's painful story is one of what many Ghanaians are going through today. But there is hope for Ghanaians under the next NDC government. John Mahama will create the Mahama Cares Fund to support the cost of treatment of people suffering chronic illnesses such as kidney failure, cancer, diabetes, sickle cell, hypertension, and other heart diseases. Ghanaians can access free healthcare at CHIPS compounds, health centers, clinics, and polyclinics, whether or not they have NHIS cards. These interventions will be major sources of relief for the millions of Ghanaians who are suffering from these chronic diseases and are often left to their own fates. Indeed, Mahama cares. Vote for change. Vote for John Mahama and the NDC.
Accra gets ready for the ultimate sporting event of the year. Starr 103.5 FM, your number one radio station, presents the Starr FM Attend Diplomatic Games.
On Saturday, 26th of October, the world's top diplomats gather for a friendly competition like no other in Accra, Ghana, under the theme Breast Cancer Awareness. Feel it, find it, fight it, and remember, there will be free breast cancer screening.
The venue is the American International School Sports Complex, East Legon, Accra. Time 8 a.m. prompt. The dress code is sporty pink. Activities of the day include
soccer, volleyball, tennis, obstacle race, indoor games, and more.
Who takes home the gold? Look out for our colorful and exciting children's corner. Join us live at the Diplomatic Games with commentary from your favorite Starr FM hosts. Don't miss the action at the Starr FM Attend Diplomatic Games on Saturday, October 26, 2024 at the AIS Sports Complex, East Legon. Remember, attendance is absolutely free, but registration is compulsory.
Visit www.starfm.com.gh to register for free. This event is in partnership with American International School and supported by Sahara Rise Hospitality, Accra Medical Center.
I'm saying that Ghana must not introduce free SHS on the whimsical promise of a desperate politician. Many mistakes have been made by countries in Africa already with free SHS.
Akufado, minya wudienye, wuye bwe, bawumia, minya wudienye, wuye bwe.
Hey, Mommy Jamefua, why are you so excited this hot afternoon?
My sister, when I remember what Free SHS has done for me and my children, I can't help but be happy for what Nanado and Dr. Bawumia have done. You remember when I lost my husband who was the breadwinner?
Yes, I remember very well.
There was no hope for my 3 children to go to school until Nanado and Dr. Bawumia introduced Free SHS. Now my children, Kofi, Esi, and Kojo, attend all these big schools. In fact, do you know they are saying they want to review it? That's one. Some of their people are saying that they should cancel. Others too are saying they should make some people pay the fees.
Hey, they want to do their thing again. Who is going to pay and who will be going for free? They want to push we the poor people aside and start using their connection men and protocol to access the Free SHS life-changing policy.
That is why we have to do everything in our civil rights to make sure they don't come and spoil this good thing for us.
This Free SHS policy that Mahama and his people said is not possible. But now see,
it is possible. This year, we are voting to protect the Free SHS. Vote Dr. Bawumia, #1 on the ballot. Charlie, this year's elections, I am really confused. I don't know who to vote for.
Why don't you know who to vote for? Let's listen to one policy JDM says he's going to implement when he's voted.
I think so NDC ban. They be bien juman kitten. My person branch executive na di omo be jim. Say akoko na person hwe poultry farm ketue bi near ma akoko bo no near ton akoko na ma near ma aduane a wo de beto aduane ama sika a wo de beto aduane ama.
But why are you laughing? My guy, relax. So this is the reason he wants us to vote for him? Oh, the man hasn't changed one bit. Same old dead goat. Now let's listen to one of the many policies Dr. Bawumia has for the youth.
Jobs would be my major focus. Now, me be training 1 million youth in digital skills.
And see, that's not all. Apart from that, he's going to set up SME Bank to enable SMEs expand, to create jobs for the youth, and also increase demand with the buy now, pay small policy, which is the credit scoring system.
Oh, really?
That's not all, oh. You let me give you the last one. He says he's going to introduce Buy Ghana First policy to boost local businesses to help them expand and employ more youth.
Wow. Now, I know who I'm voting for come December 7th. Dr. Bawumia, you have my vote.
Yes, so these are but a few of DMB's bold solutions for the youth when he's voted into power come December 7th. I've changed my mind. I'm not voting for JDM anymore. I'll vote for the bold solutions man, Dr. Bawumia. Great decision, my brother. This year, Dr. Bawumia's vote, vote Dr. Bawumia, #1 on the ballot.
Starr today, first, fast, and credible.
You're welcome back from that break. This is still Starr today here on Starr FM, and I am Tutuwaa Danso. Now, the chairperson of the National Commission for Civic Education, Kathleen Addy, has expressed alarm over the increasing willingness of Ghanaians to engage in election-related violence. This concern was highlighted during the launch of a recent NCCA report on voter concerns, which revealed that some voters are prepared to resort to violence to advance party interest or in response to perceived electoral malpractice. Let's take a listen to the chairperson of the National Commission for Civic Education, Kathleen Addy.
What we do is public education. To that extent, from the beginning of the year, we have been harping on this thing, educating people, creating awareness. It's the money in politics is one of our big thematic areas that we have been doing the public education around the whole year, and we'll continue to harp on it even as we get closer to the elections, so that people are not easily influenced to accept money in exchange for votes. When it comes to violence, you don't actually need a lot of people to have devastating impact. When it comes to violence, one person can really bring a major problem to our country. So it doesn't matter that, it's just the fact that we actually have people who are willing to say on record that yes, they are willing to participate in violent activities for one reason or the other should be a great source of worry to all well-meaning Ghanaians. And as a people, we should work together to ensure that we build confidence in the systems that have been set up for governance, so that people will not feel compelled to take that course of action. And people should have the understanding that there are conflict resolution mechanisms that are available, through various institutions, through the Peace Council.
Kathleen Addy is the chairperson of the National Commission for Civic Education. Fortunately, she's joined us in the studios this evening. Thank you very much for your time this evening.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Before we get into the nitty-gritties of your report, I want to first of all find out how prepared is the Commission for the election 2024?
Thank you very much. This year we've undertaken a lot of activities, and we are still undertaking even more activities as we prepare for the elections.
Right.
As you know, the Commission for Civic Education has the mandate, amongst other things, to undertake voter education, which we do in the election years, and this year has been no different. We've done a lot of things.
Okay.
Yesterday, we launched our Matters of Concern report, which is a report we produce every election year. And the idea is to actually identify the issues that are important to Ghanaians, so that especially and particularly those seeking power will take note of these issues, so that these issues will be the focus of the debates and conversations around the time leading to the elections and even beyond, so that these issues will be the main focus and nothing else, so that we are not distracted, because we have heard the voice of the people.
Absolutely.
And it's clear from the report the things that continue to bother people, because the top issues that we find in this report as being most important to Ghanaians have been the top issues for a long time.
Okay.
People are still worried about the elements, aspects of healthcare, education, unemployment. People are still worried about infrastructure and roads. And these things, over the years have always been amongst, the top concerns that people have. So the whole point of this report in an election year is to bring some data to the conversation, bring some concrete opinions and points of view to the conversation, so that people if we are talking, if we want to have an election-related conversation, these are the things you'll be talking about. Not other things, you understand? Because it's very easy to get distracted.
Absolutely.
For instance, if you look at what's happening in Parliament, it's very easy to get distracted.
From the main
What
subject
the
matter.
people really want is for you to be finding or telling them ways in which you will do these things better. They want to find out, and the thing about this report is that when we talk about the key issues that people want addressed, we don't just leave it at that. There's a disaggregation. So for instance, when you say health, we've asked them, what exactly in health? You know,
I want us to come into details later, but one of the highlights of this report is the fact that a lot of Ghanaians, if I dare say that, are willing to engage in electoral-related violence. Run me through that.
Yes, and like I said, it's very disturbing. Many Ghanaians have stated that they are willing to
Is there
participate.
any percentage attached to that?
Yes, I'm trying to find the page. I don't have it right now. But it is, the thing about violence is that it doesn't take a lot of people to make it a problem.
Right.
Even if it's only one person who has made a commitment to undertake violent activities or be disruptive during the election or go and scatter a polling station or snatch it, it has great implications for the safety and well-being of those around, for the safety and well-being of the person themselves, and for the integrity of the elections. So, I mean, even if it's just a handful of people, it's something we should really worry about.
Absolutely.
We should, in eliminating that, we need to build enough trust in the system so people don't feel that they have to take matters into their own hands. And so, you know, to that end, we are continuously educating people. If you want information, go to the right places. If you want to see how the election will be run, go to the site of the Electoral Commission, for instance. Don't just listen to rumors and make a decision based on that. It's good to hear what others are saying, but at least also make an effort to find out, make an informed decision, verify the things you hear, ask around, see if other people that you trust are saying the same thing, see if the platforms that you are reliable, for instance, GH1 and Starr FM, this wild thing that you've heard, have they reported it yet? You know, let's find a way to cross-check these things before we jump to conclusions based on rumors. You understand? And that is one way of dialing down the tensions so that people can have confidence in the system and know that when you cast your ballot, it actually counts for something. If you go and vote and you go back home, you can come back to observe the counting. When you come back to observe the counting, stand where they ask you to stand. If nobody has appointed you as a polling agent, please don't appoint yourself. Every party will have polling agents at every polling station.
Absolutely.
There are other observers. If you notice something, find somebody to. There's police, there's independent observers, there's NCC observers, there's CODE observers. Tell somebody. Don't suddenly become enraged and rush in there, aggressive, and try and solve a problem. You won't solve any problem, and you will be arrested.
This, for me, is really wild because, I mean, we all know that the stakes for these elections are pretty high. Both parties are not joking. But why would people want to willingly be involved in electoral-related violence?
Look, there's never an election where the stakes are not high. There's never an election where some party is joking.
Absolutely.
It doesn't work that way. The stakes are always high. And that's one reason why I tell people that, I mean, it sounds ominous, right? It sounds like something, but most likely we will go through. Because there's never an election where the stakes are... Please, somebody point me one election where the stakes were not high, where the parties didn't have irate. You understand? It's always like that. It's just that, you know, there's an extra flavor this year. We all admit that, right? There's another layer of anxiety this year that we're all feeling. But let's not keep pushing that narrative. Oh, something is going to happen. This one is worse than every... No. Let's all just do the right thing.
It can become one of the peaceful elections.
You never know. You know, because there's so much focus on there's so much focus on violence. Maybe people will be extra careful. You know, maybe because there's so much talk about violence, people will understand the messages that we are sending, that dial it down. dial it down. Nobody needs to lose their life. If you lose your life and your party, your party wins, you're gone. They are jubilating. If you lose your limb and they win, they're on 2 legs, you're on 1. I mean, and there is zero benefit to vote. Zero, really. It does not add one. And the election is about adding votes. If you think about the fact that, being violent or being aggressive or insulting people does not add one single vote, then it tells you what an exercise in futility it is.
It is, right.
So I tell people, tell your your political seniors who come and ask you, resource you to go and undertake these activities, you're willing to campaign. Yes, you give you the resources to go door-to-door canvassing, because that is okay, that is legal. As a citizen, it is within your rights to participate in political activity. You're well within your rights. And tell them that you will do that happily. You are more likely to get a vote from canvassing, from door to door, from trying to convince somebody than going out there and attacking people aggressively. So they should also engage the people who try to take them to go and do these activities in the same way. So at the end of the day, boss, it is votes we want. If it's votes we want, let me go talk to the people.
Okay.
During
your research, did you identify new hotspots for this election? I mean, apart from the ones that we already know.
So there are hotspots that have always been hotspots, but every election year there are
more. There new hotspots now?
Yeah, but I don't want to go into that right now. Not on air, no.
Okay.
Yeah, because the thing about hotspots is that what we would do is to focus more attention on it. Okay. Not just us, but all the other actors in the...
And you like to do it off air?
Yes, it's better. Okay. Simply because you don't want to now, excite people and all of that.
Absolutely.
Imagine one day I wake up and say your neighborhood is a hotspot. It may not be. Let's do something about it. Let's get the security people involved. Let's get us doing more intensive education. Let's get leaders in that community to become more active, encouraging people and all of that. Let's try and solve existing problems. Let's do arbitration. Let's work in that community to solve that problem. I think is more effective.
Okay. Let's talk about vote buying now. There was an interesting, I had to read a portion of the report, and there was an interesting regional breakdown of vote buying. Kindly run me through that since
What did you find? Because I don't have all the information.
The Western North leading the charts in terms of vote buying.
To be honest, I don't know the reasons for that.
Okay.
I don't know the reasons for that. And so, we are still digesting the report. Okay. Maybe after a while we may be able to, but at the end of the day, the many people feel that it's harmless. When it comes to vote buying, a lot of the recipients of expensive gifts and words of cash think that it's harmless. After all, they're sharing it. Let me just take my share, right? But the implications are very dire.
Tell me about
and a lot of people don't think about the fact that, don't ask themselves, where's the money coming from? And when you say that, people say, well, what do I care? But you should care, because there's no free money anywhere. Wherever the person got the money from, they have to go and take it back with interest, because nobody is sitting somewhere just gifting money.
Absolutely.
And also think about the fact that this money could come from criminal sources. It could come from money from drug dealing. It could be money from money laundering. It could be money from human trafficking. It could be money from any of those things. It could be money from anything, right? So imagine that one day, in our quest to collect money from politicians, we end up selling our country to a criminal cartel, for instance, because they funded the candidates who came and shared the money, and we mindlessly took the money. We've sold ourselves. We've sold the country. So let's be careful. Besides, your vote should not be that cheap. You are part of the decision-making process. You are part of electing a leader. You are part of finding the solution to our problems. That ballot that you're casting is part of finding the solution to whatever problem you think you have in the country right now. Why will you sell it? Why will you take 500 CDs or whatever,
a bag of rice,
and then because of that, you don't do any meaningful exercise around determining the criteria you should use for selecting a leader? Food that you will eat today and is gone tomorrow, money that you will spend and is gone. So because I feel that people don't give it much thought. I think that if we keep harping on it and people begin to think about it more, they will consider They'll be more. They'll give some thought to actually taking money from politicians, because I don't know, but I am sure that the politicians themselves, I don't know, who are you going to find $200,000 as the research found out? Where in going to participate in primaries, and you need a minimum of over $200,000 for that exercise. Where do people find this kind of money? So if you're a candidate, for instance, that must worry you. That must bother you. Because if you find that money, you're going to have to pay it back.
Okay.
So imagine that you elect somebody who went and took some money or even borrowed some money. Once you elect them, their focus will be what? Finding the money to take it back with interest, and then finding another money to come and share with you. In that context, your development is compromised. And then you get frustrated when the things that you elected them to do is not coming.
Okay.
You understand? So we should think of money in politics
But
in those terms.
As a commission, what have you done really to educate people on the need? You said one thing that excites me, that your vote shouldn't be that cheap. As a commission, what have you done to spread the word?
We are working very hard, and I will encourage you and everybody listening to visit our socials and see the kind of work that we've been doing since the beginning of the year.
Okay.
In fact, we've gone beyond what we normally do, the traditional things. We are now, last week we went to Kizomba, Salsa, to do public education in the entertainment sector where we normally would not go.
Okay.
We are setting up stores in the malls, for instance, because we set up stores we take our vans to markets. We are doing public engagements, town hall meetings. We are doing collaborations with religious institutions, traditional authorities. We are talking to a whole bunch of people in different ways.
Okay.
We have activated our inter-party dialogue committees in the communities to solve electoral problems that happen in districts at the community level. So a lot of work is going on.
Okay.
And we have just released our Matters of Concern report,
Okay.
which is a big thing for us. It's something we do every election year.
Kathleen, I'll let you have more elaboration on that, but I want to
Yeah.
go over the phone lines now and engage a security analyst, Adib Sani, on the back of your findings. Adib, thank you very much for your time. We understand from the NCCA reports that a lot of Ghanaians are willing to engage in electoral-related violence. How concerning is this development?
Well, I'm absolutely gobsmacked about that. I'm shocked that such a large percentage would be interested in using, violence to advance their political interests. However, on the other hand, it's a bit consistent with what some of us have spoken about for some time now. The fact that the stakes are high, the fact that we're going into an important election and there's a cacophony of issues that is going to determine whether it will be peaceful or not. Some of the issues include what happened during the last election, in which some people were killed. Nobody's been held to account. Then Ayawaso West Wagon comes in. The issue of law enforcement, the issue of the level of collaboration between the security services, and of course, collaboration between the various stakeholders. So surely it is an incontrovertible fact that the stakes are high. And this is the sordid reminder of the need for us to do more as we go into the election, so we are able to preserve the peace and security the country has enjoyed since the inception of the Fourth Republic.
Okay, now talking about doing more about the security status, how prepared do you think the security agencies are in a bid to prevent or avert violence clashes during these polls?
Well, there's an election security task force. I know there's been some stakeholder consultation, but I don't think it is enough. We need better commitment on the part of the political parties. There will be more boots on the ground. The police would collaborate with other security services. But I think that they should give attention to intelligence gathering so we are able to preemptively prevent some of the violent situations from happening in the first place. And critically, also, is the issue of law enforcement, because there's always a tendency of persons who perpetrate crime in the name of politics getting off the hook. So if we ensure that people are held to account, people are punished rigorously and vigorously according to the law for crimes they perpetrate, it will continue being a major issue we would have to deal with. So in my opinion, I think that the issue of law enforcement is extremely paramount going into this election, so we at least serve as a reminder to the fact that we are a country that is governed by the rule of law and not a banana republic.
Now, Adib, we all know that election violence is often driven by political influence, but how do you think the security task forces can remain neutral so that it doesn't appear that they're favoring one political party over the other?
That is the issue. You see, when a crime is perpetrated by someone from oblivion of whichever political, whichever part of the political divide the person belongs to, and you don't take action, you motivate others from the other side to also do same, hoping that you wouldn't take action. And in criminology, it's called rational choice theory. But as human as we are, before we perpetrate crime, we are able to juxtapose the risk against the reward. Okay, so if the risk factor of getting caught outweighs the reward, would naturally be disincentivized from perpetrating the crime in the first place. However, if the reward of not getting caught, because it's business as usual, is there, then people would continuously perpetrate this crime. So I think the law enforcement agencies have a very important role to play in ensuring that people are held to account for their action. Also, there's a need for investigation. These days, I get a lot of calls, people calling me, asking me about the processes involved in obtaining a weapon. And I told them, you have to write to the Ministry of Interior and justify. Then I asked, why do you need a weapon? Then they tell me a lot of stories. Then in the end, after piecing everything together, I realized that it has a lot to do with people losing trust and confidence in the state's ability to ensure their own safety. So they are willing to, by hook or crook means, obtain weapons in a quest to defend themselves. And that I find very dangerous.
Absolutely. Now, Adib, unfortunately, we have in the studios with us the chairperson of the National Commission for Civic Education. I'd want to take a reaction on some of the concerns that you've made. That is a security analyst, Adib Sani, on the back of the things that relates with security. I mean, what's your take on that, first of all?
Well, I certainly agree with him on the issue of law enforcement, because really, people must feel deterred. People must see consequences that act as a deterrent. It goes a long way. In fact, I tell people that if we do all the public education on the issue and there's no law enforcement, the impact will not be, as good as we want it to be. So I certainly agree with him on that. And that's really all I can say on that. I don't have any major disagreements with him. I think that he's right in most of the things that he's saying.
Okay. I believe that that's it for this. Adib, thank you so much for your time. Adib Sani.
And by the way,
absolutely.
Let me just use this opportunity to congratulate Madam Chairperson. These are the things we've been talking about, but I mean, they are the bigger voices. So when they talk, people would get to understand that this is an important election with high stakes and the need for us to work collaboratively to ensure that the country is peaceful and the elections is fair. Thank you.
As Adib said, are you worried about people going for guns?
Are you talking to me?
Yeah.
Oh, yes, that is very disturbing if that's really the trend. And we really have to walk away from that, from becoming the place where everybody has a gun. And so we must step up efforts to build trust in institutions, in law enforcement, and all institutions must demonstrate why the people should trust us. If you are executing your mandate effectively, then there'll be no need for people to have the level of mistrust that we are seeing if this report on gun request is correct. Okay. And it is my hope and prayer that the criteria for acquiring a weapon is not so easy that anybody at all can get it. I hope they are background checking the people asking to make requesting, and that we are only giving weapons to people who absolutely need it and who meet a very, very, very high criteria and standard and have a true need, a unique problem before we hand our weapons to people willy-nilly. Yes.
Okay. Now, over the past few months or maybe years, one of the things that we have seen is about social media and its influence cannot be undermined in any way. Did your report in any way explore how social media can influence violence in this election?
In fact, the addressing issues of fake news, misinformation, disinformation is one of our big thematic areas for the year. So all the public education we've done this year covers these issues: money in politics, misinformation and fake news, violence and intemperate language, and then religious intolerance. So it's one of the big things that we've been talking about, because we know that it's a problem. We know that the internet is being weaponized, to drive people to act in ways that do not augur well for our society and our communities. And so it's important that people have the understanding, people are media literate enough to be able to judge, if what you're reading is sheer incitement, is set up to make your blood boil and go out there and do something, is set up to make you hate somebody, to make you, feel so bad about a certain situation that you're compelled to go out there and act. And then also to encourage people to stop sharing these things. Because the thing about misinformation is that if we are not sharing, it's not going anywhere.
Absolutely.
It's like somebody has sat somewhere and cooked an agenda, and you've become a participant in executing that agenda without even realizing, simply because you mindlessly share. So I'm urging everybody, when we get things in our inbox, on our feeds, that's, it's things that are problematic, things that you can't verify. For instance, I talked about verification earlier. Even just verification on the very low level verification, you can't verify any of it. The thing looks to you that maybe is insightful. It looks like an unnecessary attack on another person. Please, let us stop and end with you.
Okay.
Don't forward, don't share.
Now, in all of this, my personal worry is with maybe people in the rural areas. These days, everybody has access to TikTok. We know the level of disinformation or misinformation on that app. People just consume anything. They save the videos, and as you said, they mindlessly share them. Is the NCC looking at educating the people in the rural areas?
Yes.
Okay.
In fact, the NCC is a community-based institution. We have offices in every single district, and our work in the communities is even sometimes much stronger than our work in the major cities centers. Because for here, unless on a day that GH1 has given me a free couple of minutes like this, otherwise I can't afford it. You understand? But elsewhere, the NCC staff are...
My producer was...
What did I say?
GH1 TV, but it's okay.
Oh, but it's the same family. At least I didn't mention some other station. Because I'm just coming from there.
I understand.
Yes.
I understand.
So on a day like this where we have this free airtime, but otherwise, truly, we are way outside my range. Can never afford the airtime here. But in the rural areas, the staff are resource persons. They have a weekly slot. Every week they go there and they are on radio and TV. It's a different dynamic. And also where they have to pay, it's not as expensive. We can afford that. So yes, there's a lot of education going on in rural areas. But there should be a lot of, we should also focus, when people talk about rural areas, first of all, we shouldn't assume that people who live far away, somehow are educated. Yes. There are a lot of, even when you come to the concentrated urban areas in the cities, the peri-urban areas with the concentration of people, we have a lot of problems there. Huge concentration of young people who are in the city but they are outside of the city. They can see the bright lights of the city but they are in the dark. It's frustrating, and they become very vulnerable and easy prey for powerful people to use to misuse them for other purposes.
Absolutely.
So for NCC, because of the way it's set up, it's completely decentralized. I always tell people, if you don't see me on radio talking, it doesn't mean work is not going on. It's not really not about me at all. My mind is to go to these nice studios and speak this fine English, right? But the real
it
work
goes beyond that.
It happens in the communities. And when I go there, I step back because my staff in the communities, they really are the powerful people. They are trusted. They support communities in many, many different ways. Their word holds a lot of weight. And so, yes, the work in the rural areas is also going on.
We are wrapping up shortly, but what I want to know is that during your research, what were give me the top 5 issues for voters?
Right, so the top 5, and I'm very passionate because these have been the top 5 over the years, one way or the other. So we have health, we have education, unemployment, infrastructure, roads. health and
These are
education.
things electorates are on the lookout for.
Yes,
Okay.
these are the things that the public discourse should be focused on. When we say health, it's not just the broad health. They've outlined what about health they want addressed, and these are the things that the conversation should be, especially as a country. Most of our income is spent on health and education. What else can we do? What else should be? That's what we want those seeking power to come and tell us.
Right.
What else can we do in these areas? How much more efficient can we be? How can we use the resources in a way that gives us more, for instance? Those are the conversations we want to see, especially our parliamentarians who go and represent us have. There's nowhere in the report that says that parliamentarians, should do other things in parliament, except for go and focus. Because if you look at the report, you realize that for these top 5 things, we ask what should government be doing, what should parliamentarians be doing. So if you go into the report, you see exactly what people want their MPs, their representatives to be doing when it comes to these 5 important issues that they have raised. And we really hope that they will pay attention to that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. It's been a fantastic conversation. I believe that our audience have been educated as well. I've been engaging Kathleen Adi. She is the chairperson of the National Commission for Civic Education. This is still Starr today here on Starr FM. We are back with more stories after this break.
I'm saying that Ghana must not introduce free SHS on the whimsical promise of a desperate politician. Many mistakes have been made by countries in Africa already with free SHS.
Akufado, minya wedienye, uye bwe, Bawumia, minya wedienye, uye bwe.
Hey, Mommy Jamefua, why are you so excited this hot afternoon?
My sister, when I remember what free SHS has done for me and my children, I can't help but be happy for what Nanado and Dr. Bawumia have done. You remember when I lost my husband who was the breadwinner?
Yes, I remember very well.
There was no hope for my 3 children to go to school until Nanado and Dr. Bawumia introduced free SHS. Now my children, Kofi, Esi, and Kojo, attend all these big schools. In fact, do you know they are saying they want to review it? That's one. Some of their people are saying that they should cancel. Others too are saying they should make some people pay the fees.
Hey, they want to do their thing again. Who is going to pay and who will be going for free? They want to push we the poor people aside and start using their connection men and protocol to access the free SHS life-changing policy.
That is why we have to do everything in our civil rights to make sure they don't come and spoil this good thing for us.
This free SHS policy that Mahama and his people said is not possible. But now see,
it is possible. This year, we are voting to protect the free SHS. Vote Dr. Bawumia, #1 on the ballot.
Accra gets ready for the ultimate sporting event of the year. Starr 103.5 FM, your #1 radio station, presents the Starr FM Attend Diplomatic Games.
On Saturday, 26th of October, the world's top diplomats gather for a friendly competition like no other in Accra, Ghana, under the theme Breast Cancer Awareness. Feel it, find it, fight it, and remember, there will be free breast cancer screening.
The venue is the American International School Sports Complex, East Legon, Accra. Time 8 a.m. prompt. The dress code is sporty pink. Activities of the day include
soccer, volleyball, tennis, obstacle race, indoor games, and more.
Who takes home the gold? Look out for our colorful and exciting children's corner. Join us live at the Diplomatic Games with commentary from your favorite Starr FM hosts. Don't miss the action at the Starr FM Attend Diplomatic Games on Saturday, October 26, 2024 at the AIS Sports Complex, East Legon. Remember, attendance is absolutely free, but registration is compulsory.
Visit www.starfm.com.gh to register for free. This event is in partnership with American International School and supported by Sahara Rise Hospitality, Accra Medical Center.
Charlie, this year's elections, I am really confused. I don't know who to vote for.
Why don't you know who to vote for? Let's listen to one policy JDM says he's going to implement when he's voted.
I think so NDC ban. You be in Juman kitten. My person branch executive na di omo ho begim. Say akoko na person hwe poultry farm ketu ebi near ma akoko bo no near ton koko na ma near ma aduane a wo de beto aduane ama sika a wo de beto aduane ama.
But why are you laughing? My guy, relax. So this is the reason he wants us to vote for him? Oh, the man hasn't changed one bit. Same old dead goat. Now let's listen to one of the many policies Dr. Bawumia has for the youth.
Jobs would be my major focus. Now, me be training 1 million youth in digital skills.
And see, that's not all. Apart from that, he's going to set up SME Bank to enable SMEs expand, to create jobs for the youth, and also increase demand with the buy now, pay small policy, which is the credit scoring system.
Oh, really?
That's not all, let me give you the last one. He says he's going to introduce Buy Ghana First policy to boost local businesses to help them expand and employ more youth.
Wow. Now, I know who I'm voting for come December 7th. Dr. Bawumia, you have my vote.
Yes, so these are but a few of DMB's bold solutions for the youth when he's voted into power come December 7th. I've changed my mind. I'm not voting for JDM anymore. I'll vote for the bold solutions man, Dr. Bawumia. Great decision, my brother. This year, Dr. Bawumia's vote, vote Dr. Bawumia, number 1 on the ballot.
Starr today. First, fast, and credible.
You're welcome back from the break. This is still Starr today here on Starr FM. I am Tutuwaa Danso. Now, news coming in this evening indicates that the Ghana Police Service has arrested suspect Fatawu Ibrahim, alias Fatawu Motorway, who was declared wanted in connection with the disturbances that occurred between supporters of the New Patriotic Party and the National Democratic Congress at Mamobi in Accra on October 13, 2024. Now, the suspect, Fatawu Ibrahim, was captured in a video footage with a gun during the disturbances in which 2 people were allegedly shot and injured. He's currently in police custody and will be put before the court in due course. We will certainly keep tabs on this development and bring you the latest on what unfolds subsequently. But let's do sports now. I've been joined in the studios by Benjamin Yamwa. Benjamin, I've missed you.
I've missed you as well. Been a while, yeah.
Yeah, a long while.
Well, in sports tonight or this evening, Ghanaian youngster Abdulaziz Issa has been nominated for 2 awards at this year's CAF Awards. Now, he's been given a nomination for the CAF Young Player of the Year and also the Interclub Player of the Year Awards. Now, he ended up with nomination alongside his Dreams FC teammate John Entry, with both being the only Ghanaian players in contention for awards at this year's awards. The Ghanaian teenager was recognized by CAF as one of the best young players on the continent, finishing as the top scorer in last season's CAF Confederation Cup. He competes for that particular prize with the likes of Karim Konate of Ellsbury Salzburg, Brighton's Carlos Baleba, and Yakuba Minte of Brighton of Senegal fame. The talented player scored 4 goals and gave 2 assists in 10 matches, helping Dreams FC reach the historic semi-final berth at last season's CAF Confederation Cup. Let's do some beach volley or football news now. And Black Sharks ended their Beach AFCON Championship in 5th position after beating Mozambique 5-3 in second classification game played earlier this afternoon. Ghana had gone out of contention for an ultimate after losing their opening 2 games in the group against Egypt and Morocco. Now, Alex Ajete, who is in contention for the goal king in the ongoing championships again, was on target to score 3 goals for the Black Sharks to beat the East African side Mozambique by a 5-3 margin and finish 5th in the championship. And to end it, Ghana Black Stars have, of course, gone 3 steps down on the FIFA rankings released today by FIFA. Now Ghana is ranked 73rd in the rankings. And Ghanaians have been reacting to this piece of news on the Black Stars team going down with their rankings. Let's take a listen to what Ghanaians have been expressing on the FIFA rankings released by FIFA on the Black Stars.
After COVID, there was a lot of campaign, bring back the love, bring back the love. So we started to develop new anticipation for the boys that they could do. And we see when our boys are outside, we see the things they do. But on home ground, it's nothing to be happy about. So the love that we've been trying to build for this team, we are losing the love, we are losing the enthusiasm. And our boys are always bringing back heart and stuff.
And Ghanaian State is something I think is disappointing. It's not something we were expecting of them. I think that what the age we are and the year we are in, the kind of players we have now in the team, we can see how they perform in the foreign teams. We can see how they perform in those leagues. But when they come back home, they are not able to do the same. So I think there are some issues about overhauling the team, getting to know what each player can do better. That will help the team to do what is required of them.
So Ghana at 73rd position, it hasn't been going quite well for Ghana. And now FIFA ranking us to 73rd. I think Ghana has to aim at their game. I think they need a lot of encouragement as well. I think they're not helping the team. I think when they go back, when you see the supporters are actually there for them, but they still don't have the space or the encouragement they need. I think Ghana 73rd now is very, very, very discouraging.
I think it's very appalling because the players are doing so well in their various clubs, but then in the national team, we just can't get it right. So I think the GFA should sit down, look into the matter, and try and find out where the fault is, and let's fix it and go Ghana.
The third way they send Ghana right now, be like FIFA for investigate again. For day like thousand, I don't go like you. Black Star for day like thousand. We're looking at the game that we play right now. People get interested in the Black Stars. So you see, we collapse this Black Star. Even the GFA for shut them down. Then bring new Black Star teams. Before pick their locals. See, because PL just go 3 months. They can't score Ghana where we get Kudus and things.
And that's it for sports. My name is Benjamin Yamoa.
But before you go, I mean, being ranked 79, is that a word?
73rd. It's one of the worst we've seen our Black Stars ranked by FIFA, and what makes it concerning.
But there's Black Stars saying, I feel like Tottenham Hotspur is better than Black Stars.
These are two different brands. I mean, one is a football club. Tottenham is an international brand, but the Black Stars is an international brand.
Are they?
Point is that you see. Point is that
like local
no, I get you.
My producer disagrees, but that's the fact.
I actually disagree with you anyway, because there are two different entities. It's like comparing. I won't do it. If I do it, it will bring issue. But point is that you see, the Black Stars is going down. Yes, I mean they've been losing games, and so obviously we are going down with our ranking. What we need to do is to arrest this free fall. I call it a free fall of the Black Stars, and it will have to take us winning games to again beginning to rise on the rankings. But if we're unable to win matches and we continue to lose and draw games against teams that are not even, our co-equals, like Sudan, like, Comoros, like Mozambique and these teams, you continue to go down because it's a coefficient sort of thing. If you win games, you accumulate points. If you lose, you drop, and others go past you. So that's how come we keep on going down.
But let's look at a country like Saudi Arabia. Are they not better than us when it comes to football?
Saudi Arabia, in terms of, let me just confirm. This one I need to look at the rankings and tell you. But I will not be surprised if they are ahead of us. I will not, but let me just...
And they are not even like your typical football nation.
But now they are investing in football. If you're talking about Saudi Arabia now, they've got some of the best players now playing that country.
And within a short period, they're making strides.
Absolutely.
That we are not.
Because you and I, we know our issues. I mean... aside the financial issues,
Tutuwaa is better than Black Stars.
You want to force this down my throat? Why are you doing this, Tutuwaa?
I am disappointed. So every love and affection I had for them has vanished. So you have to confirm that Tutuwaa is better than Ghana Black Stars.
I can't confirm that. Unfortunately for you, I cannot.
On what basis?
I cannot confirm it because Tutuwaa themselves are not looking that awesome, are they?
We are doing better.
You cannot. You are not. You are not. I can't. Okay, so Saudi Arabia are currently ranked 59th.
Can you imagine?
So they are in front of Ghana.
Can you imagine?
But why are you surprised by that? Saudi Arabia, why do you think they should be behind Ghana?
Well, I didn't expect them to be behind Ghana, but I mean...
Cristiano plays in that country. They beat They beat Argentina in the World Cup.
I know that. But as I'm saying, that it's not your typical football nation.
I know. We have been high in the past. Now we are down. I always say this.
Oh, we have been down for decades.
We have been down, not for decades.
Like
We've been down the last 6 years. What we need to do is to admit and accept that our Black Stars and our football is down. If you're not admitting that you are down, it means you're not even sure of where you are. Once you admit
you're not looking
this,
at solving the problem.
absolutely. Once you admit you are down, that will help you to really come out with the best solution to get yourself come up again. So we are down. As a football nation, national team, and even club football, we are down.
Absolutely.
We are admitting to that. Now we need to look at what we can do to ensure we can come back and stronger again. For me, for the Black Stars, we need to be very patient. Take our time to really analyze what the real problems are in the Black Stars. Coaching, playing body, those who are managing it, the federation, everybody involved. Let's take our time to assess and get what is wrong with our team. Then from the various stakeholders, we can then recommend possible solutions and then begin to implement them. And not forget to give ourselves time. Once you are down, it's taking us some time to get ourselves down.
Absolutely.
It will take time for us to again build again. What will not help us is for us to be rushing into making decisions. You've been doing that for the last 4 years in thinking that it's coaching. Let's change the coach. We change, and yet we are still down.
Note, I'm actually very happy for Kwesi Appiah. I'm very, very happy.
Because Kwesi was here, he was
I am
sacked.
extremely
Others
happy
have
for
come,
him.
they have all been
They have
sacked.
performed abysmally. And
Hey.
we'll get better in 2020.
I love what the Black Stars does to some of you.
Oh, yeah,
it gets you,
very upset. Shame on them.
Shame on the Black
Thank you very
Stars.
much,
Okay.
Bengazi, for those sports updates there. Away from sport now, are political campaign songs overshadowing the core messages of the campaigns? Are they tools that reinforce party loyalty over national interest, effectively sidelining important discourse? Well, these questions are critical as Ghana navigates its democratic landscape. In the following reports, my colleague Elikplim Ewuku explores how the prevalence of catchy campaign songs may be detracting from substantive discussions about policies and promises.
From catchy original tunes to parodies of popular hits, campaign songs have become a staple in Ghana's election process. As party loyalists and everyday Ghanaians sway to the rhythms, one cannot help but wonder how many of these songs genuinely convey a party's promises, and how do Ghanaians prioritize the nation over political allegiance? At the first anniversary public lecture honoring the late lawyer Akoto Ampao, Professor H. Kwesi Prempeh, who is the Executive Director of the Ghana Center for Democratic Development, CDD Ghana, expressed concern over the tendency for party interests to overshadow national priorities within Ghana's democratic framework.
Our democracy has been turned against us. We have ended up, it appears, with a government of the party, by the party, for the party, and its partisans. But you wouldn't know any of this if you follow the candidates and their song and dance election campaigns across the country.
Professor Prempeh pointed to the ongoing environmental degradation from illegal mining, noting how political entities often prioritize securing votes from artisanal miners over addressing this long-standing issue.
Apparent inability to solve critical public problems comes from the story of Galamsey or illegal artisanal mining. Again, despite the scale and gravity of the devastation this widespread practice is causing to the country's ecology, water supply systems, and long-term public health, resolute action has not been forthcoming from the political classes. And here, they do not even pretend to conceal their self-serving reasons for not acting resolutely to stop the ecocide.
This sentiment was echoed by former Executive Director of the Media Foundation for West Africa, Professor Kwame Kakari, who also raised concerns about the current state of Ghana's democracy. He emphasized the need for a more substantial focus on democratic principles rather than party loyalties.
When in an election campaign, political parties refuse to address major existential issues such as Galamsey because they fear to lose votes, or because their leaders and financiers are beneficiaries, we are compelled to ask, who do the parties represent? Votes or the voters?
So, what's the beef with political campaign songs? After all, they are a well-known marketing strategy. Suleimana Brahima, Executive Director of the Media Foundation for West Africa, argues that the prevalence of these tunes has pushed meaningful campaign messages and critical discussions to the sidelines.
It's indeed
a problematic situation where if you listen to the campaign now, perhaps you would hear more sounds and more music than policies that are being put out, and a lot more promises here and there. Indeed, that is why if you take the biggest problem of Galamsey, both parties are shying away from touching on it. As he said, it's about we don't want to lose votes.
In an era where catchy melodies dominate, it raises an important question. Are Ghanaians jamming to the beat of political change, or are they simply dancing to the rhythm of party politics?
That was a report filed by my colleague Eliklim Iwuku. But let's talk about mining now, because in a determined effort to combat the destruction of water bodies by illegal mining activities, the Savannah Regional Security Council has launched a military operation targeting the Black Volta River in the Bole district. Now, during the swoop, 31 Shangfang machines were completely destroyed as authorities escalate the fight against illegal mining in the region. There are more details in this report.
31 Shamfan machines used for illegal mining on the Black Volta near Bamboy in the Bole district of the Savannah region were set ablaze following renewed efforts to protect the country's water bodies. Other items belonging to the miners were burnt as the task force intensified its operations. A pump action gun was also retrieved from a makeshift camp set up by the illegal miners. The latest operation, led by the military task force sanctioned by the Savannah Regional Security Council, is also aimed at safeguarding the environment against the continued destruction of water bodies and farmlands in communities along the Black Volta. However, this isn't the first time such an operation has been carried out. In September, a joint security task force carried out a similar operation in the area, burning 4 Shamfan machines. Despite these efforts, an estimated 400 illegal mining machines remained operational along the Black Volta River. The Savannah Regional Security Council has pledged to sustain these operations until the illegal miners are completely removed from the Black Volta River. The people of the Savannah region and the rest of Ghana hope that these concerted efforts will finally restore the country's rivers and lands from the grips of illegal miners.
Away from mining, a push by some 3 members of parliament from the National Democratic Congress to cite for the revocation of the controversial LI 2462, which allows for mining in forest reserves, has been greeted with widespread commendation. The MPs, including Francis Xavier Susu, Samuel Okujetua Blakwa, and Alhassan Suhini, submitted the bill in a formal memo to the Clerk of Parliament on Tuesday, October 22, 2024. The private member's bill aims to repeal Section 3, Clause 2 of the Environmental Protection, that is the Mining in Forest Reserves Regulation 2022 LI 2462, which grants the President authority to issue mining leases for exploration within forest reserves in Ghana. Now, speaking to Starr News, the Medina MP, who is a part of proponents of the bill, argued that as lawmakers, they bear a greater responsibility to ensure the rights of Ghanaians to a clean, healthy, and sustainable environment.
Please hear me now.
I can hear you now.
Well, I was saying it doesn't seem like it really has dealing with the Galamsey issue, particularly with the mining in reserves. And that is why it has become very necessary that we introduce this private member bill. In fact, I know that government had made some assurances to organized labor that they were taking some steps to make that happen. But now that they have become minority in parliament, I don't know whether they will still be willing to commitment. And that's important that we, the majority side in parliament, we will push this bill.
But I mean, what confidence do you have that in a space of about 6 weeks, this private member's bill will be able to achieve its purpose of wanting to have this LI repealed?
Well, I mean, I'm confident that it can happen. Once we have it introduced right now, as I'm speaking to you now, it's on its way to the Justice Department for them to examine it, and then we're going to do impact analysis of and on indefinite suspension, processes that go with those that are brought to the House. We are hoping that we will go through all those. The time we are recalled at
Let's still stay in Parliament this evening, because the NDC caucus in Parliament has described the urgent government business cited as a reason by their counterparts for recall of Parliament. Now, As an attempt to fleece the public purse, the NPP caucus yesterday triggered Article 112 Clause 3 of the Constitution. But how did we even get here in the first place? My senior colleague, Jojo Kobna, tells a story of the longest-running drama series in Ghana's history, with the final episode set to end on January 6, 2025.
Can you recognize your member of parliament? No? Well, before you do, let's rewind to the very beginning of the longest running political drama in town, the 8th Parliament of Ghana, a saga of twists, turns, and fistfights. It all kicked off with a bang, ballot paper snatching, chewing, and yes, sprinting. Who needs action movies when we have got parliament? The 2020 election produced a hung parliament, meaning no majority easy way out. So when the controversial e-levy came up, let's just say tensions hit boiling point, literally. The e-levy vote saw Ahanta West MP Alexander Kojokum wheeled in by ambulance. Nanton MP Hadi Tuferi sped into Parliament despite a car accident to vote on 3 revenue bills. You would think he was auditioning for the Fast and Furious spin-off. Tamale South MP Haruna Idrisu raised the stakes, invoking Article 97 to throw a curveball attempting to formalize and establish the NDC as the majority. The plot thickens.
I am very certain that Parliament and Ghana will go through a major constitutional test. And that constitutional test is that the NDC minority must become the majority from Wednesday next week.
Former Speaker Michael Quay had set a precedent. Speaker Aban Bagbin followed suit, declaring the seats of some MPs vacant for switching political tickets.
How does an MP operate both as an elected independent MP and at the same time an MPP MP if he should win the election? This lacuna of a ridiculous situation is not what is anticipated under the 1992 Constitution. In the circumstances, Parliament it is determined that the conduct of Honorable Andrew Amwaku Asiama amounts to vacating his seat in Parliament.
These MPs cannot be allowed by law and my good self to continue to pretend to be representing people that they don't believe in.
But hold on, the majority wasn't going down without a fight.
The matter that came before us has interpretation reliefs, and that you do not have the power to interpret the Constitution, and that your duty is to enforce. Mr. Speaker.
Honorable member, you are not listening to me.
Mr. Speaker, may I finish with respect?
All what you said are wrong, so
Mr.
I
Speaker,
cannot continue to allow you to keep on misleading the House.
They rushed the Supreme Court to stay Bagwin's decision. And if you thought MPs couldn't be punctual, you would be wrong. On October 22nd, many MPs got up early, showing up as early as 6 a.m. just to grab the coveted majority spot in the chamber.
I don't want to glorify that kind of allegation. I came here as part of my duties. It's not only these days or today that I come to work early. Every time I come to work early.
First on the scene, in Sawam Adoajiri MP, Frank Anodompre. But Adaklu MP, Kwame Agboja, wasn't having any of that.
Why is Anodompre already sitting in there? When we were told that the room opens at 8 o'clock, he's already sitting in there. So they are the ones who are going to cause the fight.
Both sides fought for control at the chamber like it was the last jollof at a party. In this showdown, the MPP eventually walked out, leaving the NDC to celebrate in style. No blows exchanged this time, just some good old-fashioned jeers and victory songs. So, can you identify your MP now? If not, just tune in to the next episode. Who knows what drama awaits Ghana's political theatre? Jojo Kobna, GH1 News.
That was a report filed by my senior colleague Jojo Kobina. But here in the studios, I am Tutuwaa Danso. And on that chronicle of the drama in Parliament, we bring Starr today to a close. Thank you very much for your time this evening. I've been doing this not alone, but with my production team led by Eko Anan, Benjamin Saki, and Zuleya Nuhu, and Emmanuel Donko made this possible on Facebook. Thank you very much. We're back with more news tomorrow. But for more news still, log on starfm.com.gh. I am Tutuwaa Danso. Have a good evening.